And recording, looks like we're good. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and Beth, if you would please, Pam first, thank you, and Beth, if you would please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of
of
the United
the
States of
United States
America,
of America, and to the
to the
republic
republic
which
which stands
stands
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty,
with liberty
and justice
and
for all.
justice for all. Okay, I'm probably not going to see some of you from time to time because I have one screen and I have the agenda up. Review of the last meeting's minutes from December 2020. Commissioner Smith, you sent around the minutes. I then used Microsoft Editor and let it correct all of the spelling, grammar, and everything else.
All.
Almost. I know you're perfect, but you know there were a few items. Well, because it corrects the shorthand. Come on, don't be defensive. Anyway, hopefully you've all read it. Does anyone have any changes, corrections to the minutes of the last meeting?
I've got to admit, I read it really quickly.
That's
Don't
okay.
notice anything to object to.
I have one question, and that is when we approved the budget, we actually approved the operating and capital budget? Yes?
I believe so.
Okay. So I made a motion to approve the budget. Motion was unanimously approved. I will take that as just generally universal that we approve the budget. So I would like to ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the December 8th regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Voted yes, unanimous. Thank you. I'm now going to close that on my screen. And I am back to the agenda. Chief's report. Chief, let's start with you and your report.
I sent my report to everybody earlier in the week, last Friday.
Yep.
Nothing unusual in operations or anything like that. The fleet's in good shape. Budget-wise, we're having some issues with overtime budgets. That's to be expected. There's a transfer scheduled. I believe at this point in time, we should still be able to finish on budget. So we're moving around a lot of money in the payroll accounts from full-time to the overtime accounts. We do have a vacancy right now.
Okay.
So the full-time account is has a little surplus in it right now.
All right, so I have three quick questions.
Sure.
One is, and I think you've already noted it, in salaries stroke overtime, we are way over budget, but it wasn't a big budget to begin with. And you already have written down transfers scheduled.
Yes. The paperwork's been submitted to finance. Being that it's a payroll account, it has to be approved by the Board of Finance.
Okay.
So that should happen in the next 30 days.
Okay.
We'll probably have
Fine.
to do it again before the end of the year.
Okay. And then there is a line item. It's salaries, overtime, injury. And I highlighted that because we are at 95% and we're not still through to the end of the year. Are we going to have to move some money around there too, probably?
We have already transferred $12,000 into that account. If you look at the transfer line,
I see that 12 grand.
right? Because it was underfunded. And that's not a problem. I believe that everybody's back. We had a captain that was out long-term injury. He has
Right.
returned to work. There is nobody currently out on, well, we do have one firefighter out on injury leave. I expect him back this week. He had a minor injury that he was waiting for a doctor's clearance to return to work.
Okay, and thank you. And last question, please remind me, what is this salary offset line? I drilled into it when we did the budget, but I really,
That was a
Yeah.
line that was put in during the budget process last year.
right,
There were thoughts that there might be an overage. So they decided to put a negative number in our budget. It never happened before. And to be honest, the CFO wasn't sure what it was either. So
okay. Yeah,
I don't know what- it is
I
what
knew
it
that there was something askew there, but I just happened to think about it. Okay. So why don't we admit unless there's any other questions for the chief, I'm open while we're still here. Are there?
No.
Okay, if not, just, Mr. Secretary, please just enter the chief's report into the minutes. And let me bring the agenda back up. Fire Marshal's report, Fire Marshal Payne, number 1. If I may say, well done on your work with the View, I don't know what you call that, complex, on getting them to, I'll call it fix or readjust their carbon monoxide detectors and operations and everything. Well done, Paul. Anything else in your report that you'd like to point out to us, please?
Thank you very much, Commissioner, and I'm hoping all the wrinkles are out of that.
Good.
As far as the View goes, I'm hoping we got the wrinkles out of the country club as well. Just a couple of things that have changed since I submitted my report. The New Canaan Inn, 73 Owen Oak Ridge. they
Yes, sir.
did Get their certificate of occupancy. That job is complete. The new Baldanza, just John was down there today doing inspections on Forest Street, and he noticed that all the Baldanza signs were taken down from 21 Forest Street. So I'm not sure that's going to happen or not. I will do my best to speak with Mr. Baldanza and find out what's going on there. I know he had to really sell the hood system to the homeowners association there. They had hired an attorney and weren't pleased about it. He did have a
Okay.
code compliant hood system, but he may not have been able to get it past the owners association. And I guess the last thing is water supply. We're going to work on a project up on Dan's Highway and hopefully get a dry hydrant in up there. Meeting with the contractor and chief and Mike Sosai there on Thursday, and I will keep you posted on that.
If I may ask, Paul, is
And
that
that's it.
in or near the pond that we drafted from for the fire? I believe it was the winter of 2019, 2020, the fire up there. Was that the pond where we drafted?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's Lockwood Pond, and I had heard we had an easement on one of the properties up there, so I researched the deeds, and indeed, we do have an easement for a dry hydrant on one of the properties up there. So the easement was granted 1977.
Wow.
I don't know if it was investigated, and it may not be feasible, but we're going to look into it without spending any money and try to get some numbers together. Hopefully we can make it work.
Great. Well, and, you know, there are some public-private partnerships that always look into this sort of thing, as you well know. So let's see what happens.
Absolutely.
Okay, is there anything else for the fire marshal, please? If not, is there any old business before the commission?
None.
Okay, any new business that is not on the agenda already? I don't hear anybody. So in that case, with all due discretion, without going into executive session, Chief, do you mind reviewing the firefighter candidate hiring process and everything else here? Just a quick outline, just so everyone knows where we stand.
Sure. I believe it was in 2019 or early 2020, there was a consortium of towns that held a written examination. About 400 people passed the test. We recently had an opening. Lieutenant Vidia is retired, so we need to fill the opening. There were a number of candidates from the New Canaan Fire Company that passed the test. The Fire Commission had told the fire company that anybody from the fire company that passed the test will get an interview. We invited 10 people to interview for the position. 5 of them were New Canaan volunteers. And the Fire Commission made a choice earlier or late last week on a new candidate, and a job offer was made.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you, sir. The elephant in the room, the budget for 2021-22 operating and capital. And Chief, for the life of me, I couldn't find the capital budget, and that's my fault, but I do recall that we lowered it, and I'm going to use round numbers, from about an $80,000 ask to $66,000. Am I close? And is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. We started off with our 5-year projection. We would need $80,000 in fiscal 20, whatever it is, 22.
Yep.
And we were able to trim it down to 66 because of savings and recognize that we don't need as much money as we did. So we reduced our ask. And to date, it hasn't been trimmed at all by the selectman's office.
So let's go to the really big number, the operating budget. And we approved a budget as a commission to present to the Board of Selectmen, as I recall, a budget that included the salary and position of an assistant chief.
That's correct.
Is that correct, commissioners?
Yes.
So,
Yes, okay.
Yep.
So we received another budget from you, Chief, today. Does that still include that salary and position?
It does not. That has been trimmed out of the budget.
By whom?
The budget director and I believe the first selectman.
But it wasn't, but the budget we're supposed to present to the Board of Selectmen is the one approved by the commission.
You'll notice that there is a column in the budget sheet that says initial request. That was the original request that was approved by the Fire Commission and that we submitted to the town.
Okay, that's the 2490 233 line item.
Unfortunately, I have misplaced my budget sheet. I sent it to you. You all have in front of you and I do not. I'm sorry, but the larger number, yes.
I can remedy that. Hold on. share. Lucky you. Excel.
I get my telescope so I can read the numbers.
No. I can barely read it on my screen.
Yeah,
Is it gonna let me do this?
basically, the bottom line is on the budget, that one position was eliminated. We moved the administrative assistant's salary from the full-time line to the part-time line. You'll notice that the part-time line went up significantly because
Yep.
we moved Jill's salary because she is now a part-timer. The other changes were like in social security and 401 contributions, just because of the reconfiguration of job titles and positions from full-time to part-time. But all the other lines are intact with
So
some,
hold on, don't go away. So
Sure.
the assistant chief line item is out of that. By the way, I just sent this spreadsheet to you to, I think, your work email. It may come from whatever email my computer decided to select, but it should go to your work email. Is the fire inspector's salary in there?
it is.
So in the updated request of 2454 and change, that includes the inspector.
It does.
Okay.
But not the assistant chief.
So why are we not just putting the assistant chief in there? And because that's the budget that was approved by the commission, and let the Board of Selectmen publicly chop the position and the line item.
We can do that during our budget presentation. I can present the original fire commission approved budget with that position in there. And when they tell me that my numbers are all wrong, I will explain why. And we will see if there's any debate.
So commissioners, Beth and Carrie, not that we want to create friction, but, you know, we have a budget process in this town, and they ask us to approve it. It's our mandate to do that. And then behind closed doors, things are rearranged on us. What say you, as they say with the talking heads?
Hasn't that occurred in the past as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Every year.
I think
all the-
we need to, I think we need to do it that way to keep it on the record that we are continuing to ask for that position. And they can deny us every year if they want. But if you don't put it forward, then next year they'll say, well, you didn't, that was out of your budget last year. You never asked for it. So I think we need it there just to keep the record straight.
And I would like to accept the advice of a former selectman. I don't want to start a fight with the Board of Selectmen, but I would like it on the record, so to speak. So that when we make our presentation, we say, okay, we asked for a paid assistant chief. We had it in the commission approved budget, and we'd like to have a discussion and let the Board of Selectmen tell us why they don't think it's necessary. And then the answer might be, well, we just don't have the money. That's okay, that's fair enough, but I want to hear them say it.
And I want a chance to explain to them one more time. If we have to do it every year, we have to do it every year, why we think it's necessary.
Right, correct. Without it becoming, a you know what contest, but but just so much as it being a business decision. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. It's a financial budget. These are business decisions.
And have we, and maybe we have, justified the ask for this position in terms of freeing up the chief? Have we quantified the benefit to the town and the department of filling this position?
Chief, I believe you have the answer to that, and I believe I've seen it. I don't have it in front of me, but if you would please answer Carrie's question.
Sure. I have written a memo that I have updated annually and sent it to the boards during the budget process that explains exactly what the job would do and how it would make the department run more efficiently and safer. And I will send it out again this year. I haven't sent any memos out yet to the boards because I still don't really know when the meetings are, or I do know when the meetings are, but I usually don't send them out too much in advance because they get lost. If I send
Right.
it out a couple of days before the meeting, there's a fairly good chance that it might get read by somebody.
And my personal opinion is that you need to do it every year when it's something we really believe in, that we want, because there are new town council members, there's a new member of the Board of Selectmen, and they may not have heard it before, and they may need to hear it again.
Well, we had that happen last year. The Board of Finance was interested in the position. They wanted to invite us back to fund the position halfway through the year, but the first selectman vetoed that and it never happened.
Yeah, and I know Kathleen Corbett may not have heard our sell before, and
Sure.
she's very reasonable, and she might see the beauty in our ask.
That's why we do the annual report and we do the memos and we do all the studies and send it to everybody at budget time so they have an idea what's going on. And they can have some questions before we get there.
I think we need to leave it in so that they know that we didn't change our mind about thinking we need it.
We can do that. And this will be, I believe, the 5th time we've asked for it. And we can just give them the same message that it generally gets cut out before we get before the boards.
I
But
hope we don't have to wait for the 7th time to be the charm, but if it takes that, it takes that.
we'll see.
Okay, so how do we do that, Chief?
I will
Proceed.
update, I can update the PowerPoint. I can put in the budget with the 3 columns in it, show what the ask was, show
Right.
what it's been trimmed to, and explain what the differences are between the budgets.
Okay,
That's probably the easiest way to do it without rankling too many feathers.
right. Yeah, and that's, yeah, we don't want to fight, but we want to make our point. Excellent. Anything else on the budget, please? Chief, do you have anything else to enlighten us with? I mean, other than that position, it's a pretty light ask.
It is, and to date, I haven't seen any written guidance from the Board of Finance, so I'm just hearing things and talking to the CFO, and we are where we are.
Okay.
Did we get the, I think we did, and I'm just not paying attention, the schedule for when you have to present? Do you want any
Yes,
there for those?
Yes.
Or-
it'll be a Zoom. I will re-forward the schedule to you, but I think I sent it out last week.
And they'll allow any of us onto the Zoom when
I-
we,
I assume so. You're a commissioner.
yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Okay. Anything else from anyone on the budget? Okay,
No.
thank you. Chief, can you give us an update on the promotional process for lieutenant? It comes about in March, I believe.
Yeah, we have an assessment center scheduled this year that's going to run from March 15th to March 19th. It takes a number of days to get through it. Currently, we have 6 candidates out of 12 that have said they will take the test. I was expecting more people to take it than have committed to take the test, so it might go a little quicker than that. It will be run in town. We have an outside contractor that will handle the whole operation. They will score it, and when they're done, they will give all the score sheets to the fire commission, who will then interview candidates and make a selection.
When do you expect the commissioners to be conducting these interviews?
I believe we have 180
Ballpark.
days from the opening by contract to fill the slot. I believe that the scores will be available to the fire commission on March 20th. And then they could discuss it at their next meeting and schedule interviews at their convenience.
Okay, but 180 days, actually, the position opened in November, I believe.
Yeah, I believe it was November 30th. So you have until June.
Okay, we're good. Thank you. COVID-19 staffing and vaccination updates, please.
To date, we have 19 of our members have got their first shot, and the Assistant Chief Kimes might have more information he might want to share with us. He's more in tune with the vaccination program than I am.
Yep, we opened up vaccines Monday officially to our members after making sure that EMS and PD as the first responder agencies had their opportunity. Obviously, we also do medical calls as a backup to PD, as well as, rescues and motor vehicle accidents. So based on one day, I've already gotten a number of text messages that a large number of our folks, both career and volunteer, have taken advantage of it. And as I think everyone is aware, distribution from the federal level down has been a difficult point. So the reality is that there are very limited numbers of vaccines. New Canaan has not received any as of yet. Jen and the health department have ordered 300. We are not expecting to receive that amount to start to stand up our own Lapham vaccination center. But as of now, folks were entered into VAMS, which is the CDC's tool, which allows the members, career and volunteer, to pick a site, predominantly Norwalk, Stanford. So that's kind of where we are. We're optimistic that we will start to be able to stand up our process in Lapham. The facilities are there. The refrigeration is in place. There's a requirement from the state that you have monitoring of temperature for 3 days, which has been done. So we were able to order the vaccines. Steve Banco, as well as a partnership with the Board of Education, will be building the pods that we'll be doing the actual vaccinations in. So we're just balancing between, well, as soon as we get actual vaccine distribution to New Canaan, phasing that in while also balancing our test site and making sure that we continue testing capacity. So that's where we stand currently.
Thank you. And little Jack Horner got his at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Okay. Anything else on COVID?
Nobody's on COVID leave right now, so we're in good shape.
Okay.
Yeah,
In isolation.
volunteers are still not able to enter the building unless there's a call. I've had zero pushback. Everybody understands it and gets it. Folks are excited to use the gym again, but we understand, and it has not had an impact on volunteer response. Actually, we had the fire on Main Street with the garage fire. We had a very good turnout of folks.
Yes, absolutely. There was good turnout. That's right.
So Russ, in terms of the vaccine, once you are vaccinated, is it going to be safe if all our career guys and volunteers have been vaccinated to start going in again?
So a very good question. There has not yet been guidance on a federal or CDC level or even the state level as far as once people are immunized as to what that looks like. Look, unfortunately, it's the same thing with return to work doctrine. It's continually changing and late in what we get for those who have COVID. So we are optimistic that once people are vaccinated, the second round and the following days, because there's a period of time after the second shot that before you actually achieve the 95, 96% immunization, that I think we'll have more information or guidance by that point. I would not be surprised if the state government is the one who ends up having to make some of that along with municipalities on their own. So the answer is we don't know yet. I think that the reason that we're locked out, I don't want to use the word locked out, but we're not hanging out at the firehouse like we usually do, is because of the fact that the community spread is so high right now. As you
Right.
heard in the call out today, there were 85 cases in a very short period of time. So yeah, no guidance as of yet. As we have it, we'll communicate it to our folks.
Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Chief, Rescue 5 chassis update. And I know you sent around something this afternoon giving us the new schedule.
Yeah, we had to update the timeline. We were hoping that we would have the project done by late March and have the truck ready. The chassis was brought down to the firehouse last week to make sure it fit. And it's a tight squeeze even without a body. Measurements were taken for hours to make sure that it was gonna clear once the body was put on there. We did some mock-ups just for size. They pushed back the delivery schedule. We believe that the body and everything will be completed by May, and that would be the pre-paint inspection. And then we're anticipating a September delivery now. So between COVID, the problems we had with a design issue with the chassis and some other issues, we've been pushed back significantly. It's not that big a deal. The current rescue truck is operational, and we don't need the truck because the current truck is broken. We're going to do this one right, and we've made some modifications. We have gone to a stainless steel body from an aluminum body, which should extend the life cycle of the truck, make it more sturdy, durable. And it is what it is. I'm a little disappointed it got pushed back that far, but that's the reality. It's a handmade truck, and they're literally going to be bending metal by hand to build this thing, and it takes time.
I've watched the process from the beginning, and I don't have a problem with that. Let's get it right the first time and not rush it.
Sure. And we made our first payment on the chassis. We'll owe a second payment, third after it, or at paint time, and then we would make a final payment on delivery. So we still have 2/3 of the money in the bank.
Well, that'll keep the bankers happy.
Yep.
Anyway, any questions for the chief or anyone else on the rescue truck? If
So it does
not,
fit.
excuse me?
So you said it does fit.
It does fit. It's tight.
Tighter than the ladder?
At every angle, it's tight.
Let's put it this way, Kerry, I was there. I don't want to be the first guy to back it into the house.
We have a very old building, and it's the same size as as engine 1 and engine 7. It will not be any larger. So you can see how
Right.
tight they are. This is the same size.
So you have a couple of inches to spare outside of the mirrors.
Yeah, just a couple. We actually lowered the body from the original design. We're going to lower the size of the body by 2 inches. So that was one of the discoveries we made during the measurements, that just for a safety factor, we made it 2 inches lower from the ceiling than it was originally.
Okay. Thank you all very much. Is there any other business before the commission? If not, the next regular meeting is February the 9th, 2021 at 7:30. And it'll either be in fire headquarters or via Zoom. I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
Unanimous. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for attending. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Right.
Thank you.
Good night.
Stop recording. Yeah.